Pretty much one of the most surreal and incredible experiences of my life. When does this happen? Like, when does any non-league club, let alone professional club, experience this?
Até o Brasil, campeão mundial no ano 2000. Em 2012 se repetiu. This is for real, don't need a deal. We're together from London to Brazil. Can you feel? Mesmo coração, Corinthians, essa é minha nação. Brothers in football, together in football. Brothers in football. Brothers in football, together in football. Brothers in football.
The Corinthian-Casuals are the product of two clubs coming together, the Corinthians and the Casuals. The Corinthians in 1882 were formed, the Casuals in 1883, then in 1939 they came together as one. Both those clubs were amateur clubs, and so too is the Corinthian-Casuals today. They play as the highest ranked amateur club in the country, playing in the Isthmian League. They play against semi-professionals every week, playing in the pink and brown kit of the Casuals, not the white kit of the Corinthians. And we're under no illusions that we are the original Corinthians. Those guys were the greatest players in the world of their time. We're not that, but we're very proud to keep alive that Corinthian spirit, their ethos, and their story. The Corinthians were formed in 1882 as a result of the England team getting beaten continuously by Scotland.
In Scotland, we had Queen's Park, biggest football club in the world at the time, I think. Strictly amateur. Most of them made up the Scottish team. They were used to playing with each other. They understood the game that was being played. And so when Scotland came south, or we went north, they were prepared. We weren't.
Pa Jackson, who worked at the FA, decided to set up a club where the best players in England could come together regularly. They could play together, get used to one another, to improve the England team.
What Pa Jackson did is he creamed the top off the best of the public school system and the university system. Pa Jackson recognised that if he could gather the very best, the elite players, and create a team out of them, then he could take on anybody.
They'd play the top teams in the country. They'd play against Preston North End after they'd had an undefeated season and become the Invincibles. They'd then play the Corinthians and the Corinthians would win. Or they have the record victory of all time against Manchester United. They beat Manchester United 11-3. Game after game, they would play the top professional sides and beat them. They were these incredible amateur all-stars. They were like the barbarians of football, really.
No television, no radio, newspapers would be the main thrust of the media in those days. And they hogged the headlines in sport, not just football. I think that a lot of them were all-round sportsmen as well.
We're talking about this elite of sporting legends that the Corinthians were. They were also rugby players, cricket players, tennis players. That wonderful generation that we don't seem to get any more of, all-rounders, people who could play multiple sports at a high level.
You know, these were superstars all year round, not just in the 9 months of a football season. To put it into context now, you would be looking at Harry Kane, the England captain, you know, bowling 5 wicket hauls for the Test series, for England Test series. You'd be looking at Dele Alli, winning Wimbledon. These are the type of players that were present in the, in this star-studded Corinthian team.
Real superstars of their time, and setting football in particular on a trail they could never have envisaged as to how it's ended up all these years later.
You started to see that the team sheets of the England side all through the 1880s included 8, 9 Corinthians at a time. And then in the 1890s and 1894, the entire England team were Corinthians. So they were the only club to ever represent the national side in entirety.
Jackson wanted to set up a team that were not only world beaters, that could not only beat Scotland, but were a representative team of how the sport should be played. Bear in mind that before the Corinthians introduced their concept of their football, football was brutal. There were legs getting broken and arms getting broken. You could charge the goalkeeper even if you didn't have the ball. It was full on. The Corinthians wanted to carry on the competitiveness, but wanted to control how the game was played. When the penalties were introduced, they were an abhorrence because the general feeling was that a gentleman would never purposely foul anybody.
The Corinthians played as amateurs. Sportsmanship and fair play was central to that ethos. The Corinthian spirit came about when Thomas Rowlandson, the Corinthian goalkeeper, he used to stand aside for penalties. We didn't believe it was in keeping with the game because the penalty was awarded for an intentional foul, and it was their belief that as gentlemen it was impossible for them to ever commit an intentional foul. They felt that the rule itself was a bit of a slur and an insult on their beliefs of how the game should be played.
Even in this modern age where we're really always banging on about fair play prior to every big tournament, this was something that was natural to the Corinthians back then.
Fair play and behaving like gentlemen. I think in England we still have those models now. If we see anybody rolling around on the floor, we tut-tut at them. If anybody spits at anybody, we look down on that. In certain other countries it's this: we will do whatever it takes to win a game by fair means or foul. In England we like to see ourselves as, as gentlemen, and that's what the Corinthian values stood for.
I think the term Corinthian spirit says it all. We use it all the time, don't we? And what a compliment that is to that group of players and that club to set values that are regarded so highly still today. It was the infancy of professionalism and the golden era of the amateur. But those players, they were golden.
From the very beginning, the Corinthians were strict amateurs with no money involved, and we've kept to that tradition. Maybe that's meant we've slipped down the footballing pyramid and the world's passed us by, but it's also what makes us so unique and special.
The volunteers, without whom non-league football just wouldn't exist. They are a breed. I think you can recognise them whenever you go to visit any other non-league club. You can see the ones that have put their shoulders to the wheel and care so much about the club, and the clubs just wouldn't survive without them.
As a completely amateur club, everyone is here for the love of the game and for the love of the club. You've got the Phillips brothers, Brian and Roger Phillips, who have literally dedicated the last 30 years of their lives to this club. They've built the ground, they do every job on a match day, they clean out the changing rooms, they make the cups of tea, they do the turnstile.
Corinthian-Casuals is the only club at our level who still are strictly amateur. We insist on not paying the players because once you start involving payment of money to players and so forth, you lose the purity of the game. In fact, I wouldn't do this job if we did pay players, because I like to think that money that we take at the gate goes into the club itself, not just into players' pockets.
Most players at this level of football earn a few quid, not a huge amount of money, but earn a few quid. So when you turn up here and you realise that everybody involved in the club, and that goes from the very top level down to the bottom level, is all doing this voluntarily. It's a bit of a humbling experience, I suppose, when you turn up and realise that everyone you're dealing with is doing it for the love of the game.
We're the highest playing strictly amateur club in the country, We don't pay a bean to anybody, player or not. We have to raise the funds ourselves. We're totally self-funding, and it's an enormous struggle.
It's the norm, it's de rigueur to be paid for playing sport at a good level. And so Corinthian-Casuals, for not paying, is an extraordinary compliment to their coaches and to the players who play, yeah? Because they probably could all earn £50, £100 a week playing for somebody else, you know? But there's something about the club that ties them together.
Obviously, everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone just wants to win football matches and play to the best of their ability. So for us, be able to play for no money, but be able to there and fighting for each other, that makes all the difference for me, really. It makes us a special club.
The satisfaction, my satisfaction is when you beat these clubs, big-time Charlies, if you want to call them that. They think, oh, we're just going to turn up and roll them over, and they don't. The seeing their faces is just priceless for me.
Yes, Stevie! Come on, son!
No one believes that we don't pay money. You have chairmen coming up to our chair. So I know you say you don't pay, but what do you really? No, we don't pay. They don't get anything, and they don't even get expenses. I love it, actually. I must admit, I love it when you go in the bar after and you've just beaten a team and you see them all queuing up for their brown envelopes, and you think, I'd be embarrassed. You've just been beaten by a team of amateurs. Don't go and get your money.
The camaraderie is different. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, because he's getting 15 quid a week and somebody else is getting 20 quid a week. At Corinthian-Casuals, you're getting nothing. Yeah. Sometimes not even a game. No.
At Corinthian-Casuals, the players tend to be guys who have dropped out of the academies of professional clubs, and they have found Corinthian-Casuals to be a place where it's a real shop window for hopefully getting back into league football. People like Danny Bracken, easily one of the best goalkeepers in the Ryman League today, who's also a primary school teacher. You've got Joe Hicks, who works as a decorator with his dad, who plays centre-back for us and is the team captain. Danny Dudley, his centre-back partner, is a teacher in Carshalton. And then, of course, up front, you've got Jamie Byatt, who during the week, he's a builder or scaffolder, but come the weekend, on a Saturday, he's a hero here. And that's what you get. It's an amazing club where guys who during the week do their normal everyday job and then come down here, and it's escapism. They're suddenly the heroes.
Another Casuals beat Worthing there 2-1. Byatt is Casuals man of the moment. See? My little boy, Jamie Jr., 10 months old. Hopefully he's going to be a footballer. You'll go and see your sister. Hello Ruby, you playing your game on your iPad?
Daddy! No, man! It looks like you.
And it looks like me. You're saying it looks like me? I have thought about maybe this could be my last year. I don't really know, but can't really see myself going somewhere else at sort of my age. I'm happy at Casuals. Great club, been there for a long time. It's just unbelievable how much Casuals has changed. That's the clubhouse that's still there now. Obviously I've had offers to go to other places and get paid and that, but football's not always about money. For me, it's always been of me playing each week, week in, week out, and enjoying it.
That's amazing.
Then or sometimes I think I'll maybe stop playing and I can spend time with my kids and my missus on a weekend and things like that. Ready, look.
I think as long as he's happy. I always said that. Do what makes you happy.
There I am there, with some hair. Still midget like I am now. Another Casuals photo. There's Matt Howard, who's manager now.
it's a completely different kind of pressure to what people probably think. So when you think of pressure, you think, right, we've got to get promoted, we've got to win the league. The pressure at Corinthian-Casuals is keeping them in the league, avoid relegation. That's the sort of the pressure you're under. It's tough. I mean, every club in this league gets paid money, we don't. Pretty much every club in the league below gets paid money, we don't. If we can avoid relegation, that's effectively like winning a league every year. So that's the pressure you're under.
Come in, shut the door. We got hammered, let's be honest, we got hammered 5-1. Okay? Went 1-0 up, fucking brilliant, everything's going hunky-dory. Could have gone 2-0 up, should have gone 2-0 up, didn't. Should have gone fucking 3-1 up, didn't. Okay? Game's over. Game's over at half time. Okay? You are in a major relegation fight, and it will be you, the players, okay, that gets this club relegated.
But it's a challenge. It's a challenge that when I was offered the job, I thought I was capable of doing it. If I didn't think I was capable of doing it, I wouldn't have taken the job.
20 stories in the sky.
I've been going to Casuals over 20 years now, ever since they moved into Tolworth. You know, I used to live in Cheshunt, the pub nearby. You know, there'd be more people in the pub watching Sky Sports moaning about the results. You know, and they haven't even been to a game. You know, and none of them even go to games. And none of them knew that Corinthian-Casuals was around the corner. None of them. So Jamie's shirts, they call us the 12th men.
Yeah, both Chelsea fans, but just disillusioned with it all, like the prices, everything, the attitude of the players.
We haven't turned our backs on them, they've turned their backs on us with the prices and just the situation where it's just not fun anymore. To me, the Premiership is just a TV show.
It's what we got given by some Brazilians, and we promised them we'd take it everywhere with us.
Two of us went to Maidstone a couple of years ago. Just two of us, and we put this right up in amongst all their fans. 1,200 people there, only 2 Casuals fans. And we turned up, put this flag right in between them all and just sang the whole game.
It's just a club well worth supporting. You've only got to go back over the history and that says it all. Right? It's just a club that's well worth supporting and it needs all the support you can get.
Go on the Casuals, Corinthians forever.
We as a club live a hand-to-mouth existence. We're so vulnerable to any changes in the outgoings, and if we have to suddenly pay more rent or the electricity bill goes up, it causes potentially irreparable damage to the club managing to survive on a day-to-day basis.
We do not make a profit in any year. We seek to, but each year the cost of running the club seems to increase considerably. So that's our great danger, is keeping it going. Okay, Chairman's report. The council came back to us and said, we've done the review, we want to increase your rent. The rent that we were charged was almost peppercorn, and he doesn't know how we ever got that low rent to begin with, but it must have been somebody that was very enthusiastic and kind to us. We have the danger here, ladies and gentlemen, that we want some money that isn't there, and how do we find it? But are you happy for me to sign that we will carry out the season?
What is the alternative if we didn't do the season in most terms?
That we pull out of the league now?
It's difficult. It's difficult. I went round local businesses. I got a professional fundraiser in who went round and tried to raise money. He didn't get anything either. When I went round shops, very local shops, many of them said, well, what have Corinthian-Casuals got to do with this area? We would get more support if we were Tolworth Corinthians or Casuals, but we'll never change that. We don't want to, do we? Yeah, it's too much history.
If this club were to fold and become a footnote in the pages of history, it would be a crime against sport. We're currently going through a respect campaign with the FA, and the underlying element in that respect campaign, 100 years after the founding of the Corinthians, is the Corinthian spirit. So the FA not only created us, they're now using our ethos to correct all the things they've allowed to go wrong in youth football. And if there isn't a club out there that is still practicing an ethos that was there to govern the development of a beautiful sport to stop it from becoming ugly, then more pity this country for not taking care of its national treasures.
At this current time, there's no money to get new footballs. Jamie Byatt takes the match day socks home and washes them because we can't afford to get the whole kit washed. We can only get the shirts and the shorts washed. So it's a massive struggle, a massive struggle. How many people in this country know about the story of Corinthian-Casuals? I'd be surprised if they even knew who we were, what league we play in. You're talking £5 billion just gone into the Premier League. Surely the FA could say, well, hold on, we can't allow Corinthian-Casuals to die, because that's what's going to happen. If it isn't for the sake of one or two individuals down at the club putting money in, keeping the club afloat, that club will die. And you think it's probably the richest history in the country, probably even Europe, probably even European football. Corinthian-Casuals has got the biggest history, and the FA are just going to let it die because they don't care, because it's not in the Premier League. They don't care. That's the nuts and bolts of it.
Além disso, né, o amadorismo traz uns benefícios incríveis, né? Os benefícios de ter a possibilidade de um cara desfrutar de um futebol, né, de uma maneira um pouco mais menos profissional, obviamente, né, mas desfrutar do esporte, desfrutar do futebol, da coisa que eles gostam, que são apaixonados, porque fazem isso de uma maneira amadora, né? Porque os ingleses, quando eu estive na Inglaterra, eles conhecem muito bem a história do Arsenal, de onde começou, todos os torcedores envolvidos nesse lance histórico que eu acho muito bonito. Nós, brasileiros, talvez tenhamos menos, um pouquinho mais paixão momentânea do que a história. Perder essas raízes realmente seria, sem dúvida nenhuma, uma grande perda, né, para a história do clube, né, do Corinthians, a história do Corinthians-Casuals e dessa ligação aí que nós criamos desde 1910 lá atrás.
In 1892, the Corinthians were playing against a Hampshire Select 11. When they turned up, they only had 10 men. They didn't know what to do, and a schoolmaster down in Hampshire suggested that perhaps the Corinthians could use this promising young schoolboy talent called Charles Miller. Charles Miller took on the role of playing left wing with the mighty Corinthians. After the game, the Corinthians discovered that Charles was about to go back to Brazil to join his father, who ran a railway works in São Paulo. And so they thought, we'll give you a couple of footballs as a present before you get back on the ship to go home to Brazil. With these footballs, Charles Miller arrived back in Brazil and introduced the sport of football to that nation. What football's become in Brazil, Charles Miller created that. This one man, with these two footballs gifted to him by Corinthians, went down there and gave the nation of Brazil football. In 1897, the FA received an invitation to have a team go and tour South Africa. Pa Jackson, who worked at the FA, thought who better to do that than his Corinthian side. It was a tour which really kick-started a 15-year period for the club where they travelled extensively across all of Europe. They went to North America, they went to Canada. They went to every corner of the globe as they set about becoming the club credited with popularising football around the world. They went to nations where football was still just beginning, and they were a big draw.
People would come along to watch them play in the same way that people would go along to watch Neymar or Brazil play, because it is Brazil. Back in the day, these are the Corinthians.
Before the Corinthians in England, it was all just kick and rush. They started the passing game. They completely changed the way that the sport was played in England.
They made it beautiful. They captured the imaginations of everybody, and then everybody went away wanting to play like the Corinthians. The 1897 tour was symptomatic of what Pa Jackson wanted to do from the outset. This idea of setting up a team that represented all that was good in amateur football, and he didn't want to just keep it in the British Isles. He wanted everyone in the world to play football the way the Corinthians did.
So in 1910, having gone all around the world, the Corinthians were given the opportunity to go to Brazil to play against Fluminense in Rio. Charles Miller, who had played for Corinthians and who had taken football to Brazil, was desperate for them to come to São Paulo and play against his teams in the São Paulo Championship. It was at that game that there were 5 railway workers in the crowd who were so inspired by how brilliant these Englishmen were that they thought, we've got to start our own football team. Charles Miller, after the game, spoke to them and said, well, why don't you call it Corinthians after the team you just watched? And so the club became Sport Club Corinthians Paulista.
Era um nome forte, um nome relacionado ao melhor time de futebol na época, do futebol ainda amador. Eram os reis do futebol, né? O primeiro time inglês que vinha jogar aqui no Brasil. E o nome foi aprovado com uma pequena alteração, além do S, que é o Paulista, justamente para diferenciar do Corinthians Futebol Clube. Então, o nosso time aqui no Brasil passou a ser Esporte Clube Corinthians Paulista.
Gol do Corinthians! São Paulo is Brazil's biggest city, and Corinthians are the most popular club in this city. And the ethos of Corinthians is one of working class sweat.
Agora é curioso que muita gente que não se interessa por história de nada, história nenhuma, se interessa por essa história. Mais uma vez, essa força do Corinthians levar o cara para se interessar por uma coisa que não é do dia a dia dele. Às vezes o cara não tem interesses culturais, não tem interesses sobre história, não sabe nem onde é a Inglaterra, mas sabe que o Corinthians tem a ver com a Inglaterra. Quer dizer, conhece a Inglaterra por causa do Corinthians.
If you don't know who you are, if you don't know that history, you are missing out on so much. And I think it reflects enormous credit on the fans of Corinthians Paulista that they want to know who they are. They're proud of what they've done, of what they've built, but they also know where they started.
In the summer of 1914, the Corinthians were once again bound for Brazil on another tour to South America. And it was whilst on the ship at sea that they received word via a telegram that war had been declared back in Europe. To a man, the Corinthians, it's said because of their Corinthian spirit and their belief that there was more to life than just sport, they decided they had to return home straight away to join the forces. They travelled down to Brazil, where they cancelled the tour, got straight back onto the next boat home.
These football players were of a type whereby you're in the middle of the Atlantic and you hear that war has broken out. Your first reaction is king and country.
The tragic reality for the Corinthians was that because they were public school men and because they had come through Oxford or Cambridge University, the army appointed them as the officers. They were the leaders of their men. And in trench warfare in the First World War, it was those people who led their men across the line into the charge. It's probably why the Corinthians lost more men than any other football club, was because as officers, they were just wiped out.
No one at the time understood how that war was going to work out. No one understood that it was going to be a trench war, and no one understood that it was the officers that were going to be first over the top. They were the first ones. They were the ones that met the hail of bullets. but they had to lead their men. That was their role in society. That was their caste. That was their honour.
We saw a whole generation of Corinthians, these gentlemen who were the greatest players in the world, gunned down on the battlefields of France.
I can't imagine how you would have gone knowing you'd probably got a week to live. The world is free because of that kind of sacrifice. They must not be forgotten, ever.
The stories in the First World War of Christmas truce and the fact that they played football, I really think that that's key to understanding what the Corinthians introduced into the sport. This concept of using football as a way of finding peace just for a little bit, of everyone knowing what the rules are in the middle of this hell of no man's land. Is there something magical about football that we don't understand? Maybe we need to be pushed right to the very edge of our own existence to understand what it means to us. I think those men know.
They were decimated at the battles of Somme and Ypres and Passchendaele Ridge. The Corinthians lost men at all those battles. You know, someone like Cuthbert Brisley, he was considered to be the world's greatest player in 1914, and in 1918 he died flying for the RAF. You know, the First World War was such a stupid war in so many ways, and you're losing these talents. You can't imagine what someone like a Pa Jackson would have felt, who at that time was an old man by 1914, 1918. He was an old man now, and he built this glorious club, and to see it torn apart by this conflict was so sad for him, and they never were able to regain their position at the top of world football.
The fact that so many people lost their lives, to come back and try and rebuild with that type of player, with that style of player, with a player with the quality that they've lost, I think is nigh on impossible.
Modern day footballers, you know, sometimes you've just got to take a step back and realise what people have done in the past, people that have been in your position and even more famous in many ways. So it's a tremendous sacrifice, and of course everybody, not only footballers, owes them a great deal of gratitude now.
For the next 20 years, the Corinthians limped on. Whilst they had their high points playing in the FA Cup at last in the 1920s, and their home ground was the Crystal Palace, which was the national stadium, they never managed to really take back their spot at the top of English football. Then in 1936, the Crystal Palace burns down, which was their home stadium. It was their home ground.
To few people in a lifetime comes the chance of seeing such a gigantic blaze as the funeral pyre of the Crystal Palace, the proudest building of the last century, one of the few remaining links with Queen Victoria and Prince Albert.
The Corinthians at that point were now homeless. They didn't have a lot of money in the bank. The amateurs weren't really drawing a great crowd anymore. So they looked to another club, the Casuals, who were their sister club. They were also amateurs. And it was whilst on tour to Jamaica with the Casuals that the two teams came together and they thought, why not join forces? And so in 1939, the Corinthians and the Casuals amalgamated. It gave them hope. Right on the eve of the Second World War in 1939, it gave them a hope that maybe there could be a future for the Corinthians.
When I joined the club, I wasn't aware of the history at all. I just imagined it was a small club in South London that I just wanted to play football for. Obviously there's no money, but the Brazilian link is something special. It's something that makes Corinthian-Casuals different to every other non-league club in England.
As a quirk of the club, because of the fact that we inspired the formation of Corinthians Paulista, who have themselves 30 million fans. The fans in Brazil, they have always wanted to come to Corinthian-Casuals and come to Tolworth to see the hallowed pitch as they see it and take a blade of grass home with them.
I don't know if you've seen the thing on YouTube. There's two Brazilian fans walking through Tolworth Broadway. Where are we?
Yeah.
We are in Tolworth.
E aí, Fabião, onde a gente está aí, cara? O que a gente vem fazer aqui?
Nós estamos em Tolworth. Viemos procurar o Corinthians Casual.
Olha lá, Fabião! Olha lá, Fabião! Corinthians Casual!
Because Twitter and global media now, it's just gone mental.
It's gone viral, I think. Is the
Is
young
that
person's term?
Oh, young person's term.
The teenage term is viral. If somebody says viral to you, you're a 14-year-old, you're off to the doctors. Now it's like, oh no, that's to do with Facebook. What can I pick on myself?
It's different in the size, but I think in the heart is the same. This is our father, no? I'm very happy to be here.
This is where it all started, if you think about it. There won't be any Corinthians Paulista if there wasn't Corinthians FC. One is led to the other.
Corinthians Casual, Corinthians Paulista, same is goals. Goals, 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 victory. Okay? Yeah. Why Corinthians? Go Casuals! Go Casuals!
Got into the website and just read the history about the club, and I just had come see where it started, the origin of it.
2 or 3 years ago, you wouldn't have seen a Brazilian down there. We're getting any number of Brazilians coming down now, wanted to see their roots.
We set up a Facebook page because it was kind of, the thing that was kind of happening at the time. We it went up to 400 in one day, and we were like, wow, what's going on? This is crazy. 400 fans in one day, and it just kept going up and up and up, and never miss a goal. It got to 5,000, and the popular football magazine in the country, When Saturday Comes, thought, wow, this is an incredible story. We've got to do an article on it. And that was at 5,000. We're at 150,000 now.
We're the largest non-league supported club, and we're actually, I think, led to believe we're fourth behind Leeds in British clubs supported on Facebook. I mean, that's huge. That's huge.
It's incredible to see that there's this groundswell of love coming our way from Brazil, from this fan base, who want to know more about the club and want to know more about their own history.
This season, we've had a few times Brazilian fans come over. They're absolutely mad for it. Absolutely love it when they come over here. And to some of us, we're just like can't believe it.
The influence this team with my team in Brazil, it's wonderful. I think a little piece of my team in Brazil, here in London.
Woo, come on, Corinthians, come on!
Every time we come here and see everyone and that connection that it has to the Brazilian team, everyone cheering, they're cheering in English, they cheer in Portuguese. I think that's something that you don't see with any other team around here. Jamie is like a superstar there now. He's famous. He scored a goal here, and he was wearing a Corinthians Paulista shirt underneath, and he just showed it when he scored. Yeah! Come on! They took a picture of it, and it was all over Facebook in Brazil. There are people asking him to go play for Corinthians Paulista already.
When you look at the Twitter and stuff, and you're like, wow, the people they're commenting stuff and things, it's just crazy. It's just Jamie to me. It's just Jamie.
I'm just baffled with it all. I just can't think of such a world-famous club has got that bond with Corinthian-Casuals. Do they really know how small this club is? And do they really know who Jamie is? Obviously, they must have seen some of his goals or had feedbacks on the internet. I think it's great.
I think they're campaigning for us to try and go out there and play in the arena, which would be something that would be unreal.
I think Corinthians poderia dar uma ajuda. I don't know.
Should help.
Should help this team.
The Brazilian story and the link to Brazil that this club has, it's almost like a a little gift from the past, from the original Corinthians. They've left us this little gem of a story which we have to take care of, and we have to preserve and try and build on, because they've given us an opportunity to really grow and build by making the most of this amazing support.
Então eu acho que, hipoteticamente, se o Corinthians Paulista corresse o risco de fechar, um risco que o Casuals muitas vezes, eu acho que a primeira reação seria de resistência. Eu acho que o corintiano diria, não vai morrer não. Eu acho que até pode contar com a nossa solidariedade. As redes sociais vão se mobilizar para que o Corinthian-Casuals jamais feche.
É uma história muito rica. Está colocando dados aí que para mim me surpreendem, né? Ele vem aqui, ganha de 10-1 do Fluminense, inspira Corinthians, inspira Real Madrid. O quanto de história, o quanto de rico é todo o Casuals, né? O sentimento que eu tenho é de lástima. A vontade que eu tenho é de dizer assim, ó, se depender de mim e fizer um outro amistoso, e esse amistoso pudesse reverter sob forma de valor financeiro para que o Casuals consiga resgatar, pagar suas dívidas e permanecer, pode contar comigo. Eu fico com um sentimento de pesar, de tristeza, de dizer assim, pô, cara, vamos tentar dar uma volta e eu de alguma forma poder participar.
Surgiu o Chris do Corinthians Casuals disse que a ideia deles vir para o Brasil surgiu após uma enquete no meu timão. E eu criei a enquete para eles virem para cá, falando quem o Corinthians deveria jogar na estreia da Arena Corinthians, né? As opções eu lembro que era Real Madrid, Barcelona, Corinthians Casuals e o Chelsea, que a gente tinha acabado de bater neles no Mundial.
We thought, okay, this is going to now probably show us where we stand and probably tell us they like us, but we didn't have any expectations of winning the poll.
The fans voted for actually us to go and play in the arena instead of some of the biggest teams in the world. For the Brazilian fans, so far away from Tolworth, so I think that we're actually more deserving of a game against their team. Yeah, I can't really work that out.
Gobsmacked that they've voted for us.
Well, they could have voted for Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, and they voted for Joe Hicks and Jamie Byatt.
Yeah, probably not so much Joe Hicks, maybe more Jamie Byatt.
Trying to get the time off of work was a problem, but now it's coming about. I can't really believe it's happening. I think it's only going to hit when we step off the plane.
I think walking out onto the pitch in front of all them fans, like, I'm going to get the feeling of how it is to be a professional footballer.
Mais fã, acho que todo mundo que gosta de futebol, independente de ser corintiano ou não, deveria conhecer a história do Corinthians Casuals, porque ela é muito bonita.
Millions of people across in Brazil want to see us play football. It definitely gives us a lift and a little bit of self-belief that actually we are a good football team and definitely a special football club.
Hawksby and Jacobs here on Talk Sport. Well, Chris Watney, Corinthian-Casuals director and the former striker, popped in to see us to tell us about a trip the team were making to Brazil, to São Paulo, to take on Corinthians in a special commemorative match.
The whole idea of the tour is to fulfil a tour that never happened 100 years ago, that got cut short by the First World War. So it's the first time the two first teams have ever played against each other, and we're playing in that arena. It's going to be live on TV.
thousands of people there, millions on TV.
You're playing their first team?
We're playing their first team.
God, you're going to get hammered. You're not going to go over as a sports psychologist here. That'd be a great help.
They're professional football team. I mean, all right, they're not.
Yeah, it is a concern. I mean, we lost 4-1 on Tuesday to Folkestone, so it's a step up. You know. And to be fair to Folkestone, they played very well on the night. But yeah.
Fantastic. We wish you well. Thanks very much.
Thanks, guys.
Chris Watney there from Corinthian-Casuals, and it's Paul Hawksby and Andy Jacobs still to come.
For us to be offered this lifeline from Brazil at this point in our history, 100 years after the tour in 1914 that never happened, to be offered an opportunity to return in a way that could potentially secure our future as a club, it's an incredible offer. 100 years ago, Corinthians were the greatest team in the world. They just beat Chelsea in 2012 to become the FIFA World Champions. They've kept the Corinthian name at the very top of world football. I think it is one of the most romantic stories that there is this bond between us.
I mean, all the boys that we're all talking about it. I know we're trying to say we should be concentrating on our games we've got coming up, but it's hard. You can tell that by the Facebook and the Twitter followers at how well known we are over there. So, I mean, it's going to be like going home, if you like.
What we're going to do, we're going to play with 4 goalkeepers. No, we're trying to attack and defend when we ain't got the ball. Obviously, we're going to have not the ball for a lot of the time. I don't think anyone knows until we get out there what it's actually going to be like. And I don't know what it's 60,000, isn't it? 47,000. Well, that's probably 46,000 more than most people have played in front of. So I think until that actually we go out there to do the warm-up, I think it's just going to be new to everyone. And then I think that's when it's going to hit home.
A lot of the lads and myself have played in front of is a few hundred. Like, I've played in front of probably the odd couple of thousand before, but 50,000 is going to be something else.
I would love to think that we could keep the score down, but the reality is they've got Piero up front, who's just scored more goals than any other player in the Copa America. You've got, you know, Brazilian international stars playing for them, playing against our guys. But I'd like to think that we can keep the score down.
It won't be more than 6 or 7. No, you have that on record.
I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be a draw. I think they'll go easy on us.
The history of the FA Cup, in which the Corinthians have played a big part as well, it suggests that, you know, on any day you've got a chance. I'd be very surprised if they're embarrassed, put it like that.
I don't think anyone has got any doubts that this is a professional versus amateur situation, but it's a celebration. It's a commemoration. It's 100 years of history. It's fantastic.
Oh, he's in that one. When he played at Horsham. I don't know how much he paid the bloke to have that picture taken. He loves his football, and you know, sometimes he'll have a good game, then sometimes he'll come off and say, "We were shit." I hope he does well out there, you know. I won't go myself, but I hope he does well out there, you know. Good luck, sir.
Get in, Jay. Good boy. Unlucky. Unlucky.
As a father, I'm proud as ever can be. As a youngster, he just gave his all. He gave his all every time. It was amazing for seeing someone so little and so young, and he would be scoring then from 25, 30 yards then. He's just got a natural ability of scoring goal. No one's taught him that. That's him. Going out to Brazil, I think it's going to be absolutely brilliant for him. I think he's going to be a bit surprised what's going to hit him. I just hope that they don't go out there and get hammered.
He doesn't get stressed like he does on the football pitch. He's like a little boy racer because he's got no driving licence. This is the only time he can use the machine and drive. It goes a bit silly, really. He does throw it about a bit too much. There you go.
I remember when I was a little kid and, you know, growing up at the club and watching the first team play and then thinking, like, now I'm actually playing at Casuals on the first team pitch myself. I've got a trip to Brazil. It's just a dream come true.
So, if I tell you that he's famous in Brazil, does that surprise you?
Yes, it is a surprise to me, yeah.
The club he plays for in Brazil's got 30 million fans.
Oh, well.
I can't wait to walk out in front of all them fans. It's just going to be something special. If I could score out there, that'd be a dream. It'd be unbelievable if I could score a goal. It'd just be something that you'll never forget.
Lovely pot noodle.
.99% of footballers in the world are amateurs. They all would love to swap positions with Jamie Byatt and Danny Bracken and Joe Hicks on that day. They'll be doing it for everyone who plays football in the park and dreams of playing against the professionals. It'll be that moment, it'll be that opportunity.
When you're growing up and you're playing football, you want to play in front of thousands and thousands of people, and obviously that's probably out of reach for me now to become a professional. I've obviously come to terms with that, but to lead the side out, it's going to be amazing. I'll just take it like any other player that I mark. He'll know I'm there.
We're playing in front of 200 people today. Next week we'll be playing in front of possibly 48,000. It's the best thing that happened to this club for many, many years. We've been struggling along in the lower reach of the Isthmian League, and we're now getting publicity throughout the whole country.
The trouble is the passport ran out of date 50 years ago, so that's the last time we were abroad. So
sad, but on the other hand, somebody's got to stay at home to look after the shop.
Yeah, just been down here today hearing about the history of this club and unique history of this club. 100 odd years ago they provided entire England squads, and I think this is just such a fascinating story that they're going back to Brazil for a tour that was never completed 100 years ago. And this incredible relationship with the Corinthians of Brazil, the fact that Brazilian fans to this day still come down here and openly weep when they see Corinthian-Casuals ground, this little non-league football club just in a corner of leafy Surrey. But Brazilians come over here and it's almost a sort of pilgrimage for them. I just think it's such a fascinating story and one that all football fans can really relate to.
Oh, that's all right. That's massive, Lee. What?
No, that's too big. No, that's too big, man.
Man, look like I've been well. Hold on. Looks like it's made to measure. Yeah, someone else.
I'm told you're a hero in Brazil. You probably can't walk down the street in São Paulo without getting mugged.
yeah, I keep getting told that I'm a hero in Brazil.
Him and Neymar are kind of on a level out in Brazil, is that right?
What I'm led to believe, I think he's bigger than Neymar.
Very good.
No, we are big because the Corinthians been there in 1910, and for me it's emotion talk about this.
That's all right.
Man, enjoy this game. These are Spirit Corinthians. Yeah. We are together forever. Sorry guys, Corinthians for me is too much.
It's good. Well, that's what it obviously means. That's insane.
What does it mean?
Well, it's put shivers down my spine just seeing that. Didn't realise it was that intense. Like, so it's good. Like, looking at him now, I can't wait. Hopefully, be good.
Really good. Vai Corinthians! Vai Corinthians!
As we come out of the airport and we're going around all these different corners and you're thinking, is there even anyone here? And then as soon as we turn the last corner, we're just greeted by a mass of supporters. I just had to sort of pinch myself and think, is this really happening to me? Like, we're just like any other normal working person who goes and plays football at a weekend back in England, but we're absolutely massive over here, and the videos and pictures that we're taking, some of the lads are just saying already that they've already had 13,000 views on Facebook, and that was only posted up about 45 minutes, an hour ago.
Good luck for you here, welcome.
We have a history, a beautiful history. And we became a popular team in Brazil with 30 million supporters. Can you imagine that?
Coming here tonight and getting on the stage and people mobbing us, it's unreal. When I go home and I try and tell my friends and my family about what's happened to us this week, they're not going to believe it.
Hell's teeth is great. If I didn't know better, I'd say I was on drugs. They've got such warmth and passion for enjoyment.
These amazing people. And then we were on stage and like dancing them side to side and then down here, dancing in the water. Oh, it was incredible. Especially the girls, well, they are quite beautiful, quite a few of them.
I didn't see many. I wasn't really. I've got one here. This one.
That's what he said.
Like it, like it.
We're at the Corinthians training complex and the facilities here are just unbelievable. The car park's even a lot better than the bumpy ride that you get in at Tolworth.
To be at the training centre of Corinthians and to see the name Corinthian written everywhere. You know, we train quite often at Casuals. We call it out the back, and it's a field behind the goal which is sometimes cut, sometimes not. I broke my ankle there last January. To come here and to train on a pitch like that behind us, it gives a real taste of being professional for just a week.
The most enormous pride. They work very hard. They probably give more effort and more commitment to their game of football and the ethos of the club than the top professionals do. Their commitment to the love of the game knows no bounds, and it's a great joy to see that they're being rewarded very justly in being here now.
Pelo menos quando eu recebi os atletas, eu vi que eram os atletas, né? Você via que tinham condições físicas de desempenhar um bom papel, né? Eram amadores, mas você via em cada um deles que eles tinham um estilo de jogador de futebol. Não é aquele cara que veio, estava um pouquinho acima do peso, não tinha um perfil de jogador. Eu já vi ali que era um time que ia jogar bem.
A little bit sort of nervous, a little bit anxious. We've done a couple of little basic passing drills that we do all the time, and they was making lots of mistakes. I think that's just sort of anxiety really more than anything. To come to facilities like this and doing press coverage and the fans screaming at the coach windows, no one's used to it. This is what a Premiership footballer's like, I suppose.
Do you think you could get used to it?
Oh yeah.
Corinthian-Casuals. Os ingleses do Corinthian-Casuals.
Para mim é uma honra ver os jogadores do clube que fundou a gente, né, bem na verdade, né? Nosso pai, nosso irmão, criatura contra criador.
Em 2013 nós fomos para lá para conhecer, até compramos as camisas, conhecemos lá as instalações, conhecemos os pub, conhecemos o Brian que nos atendeu lá, um abraço para ele, Brian.
We've got about 6 pens between 20 of us, thinking that would be enough, but there's hundreds of people here, and we haven't got enough pens. All these people turning up just to see us is crazy. Crazy, yeah. You wouldn't believe that a small club like ours from London has generated all this support. I mean, they're queuing round the block to come and see us.
My hands are shaking a little bit at the moment.
It's just great. I can't stop smiling. It's etched on my face.
I heard of this event on the Facebook page, Jamie Byatt. You see all the pictures he takes when he scores a goal and he shows the shirt.
I think we'll be all night signing shirts.
Cross, no matter what he says, say about sponsorship and how we need it. Say about how it's so vital that we're trying to keep the club alive.
Da base é Macalé de Ribeirão Preto, tá? Pulpos de Roma sincronizado aí com o Gil. Até
Still trying to get sponsorship, and we're still trying to make it all financially, because Corinthian-Casuals is a very poor club. So any help is always great, and that's what's great about being here. So
aí, ó o Marcão, Supermercado Barbosa, Rafarilo, Democrata, Vivo, aí todo mundo aí, ó, fazer a propaganda aí, rapaz, que não tem, pra gente ir pro break. Aqui é Corinthians! Ó, é minha mulher, ela tem o pessoal do Supermercado Barbosa.
Ah, legal.
E aí, quem sabe os caras não patrocinam você? Manda liga pra ela agora.
Tá, eu vou ligar
tenta
direto.
aí pro cara
Saindo
dar uma
daqui.
grana lá.
Obrigado, Nath.
E outra coisa,
Verdade.
o jogo é televisionado pra Band. Acho que a Sport TV faz. Quer tirar uma foto? Vai cá.
Chris, what time can we meet today?
we can meet. What time can he meet?
Que horas você pode? We should go.
It's a rush?
Yeah, it's a rush.
Okay.
We received 15 emails about sponsors.
So, this is making me a bit dizzy. I think this is all getting a bit crazy now.
Yeah, because now we have too much.
Did you watch the show? Did you speak English? Okay, so having tried for 18 months to get sponsors, and then today we go on Neto's show and we ask for a sponsor, and it's not even half an hour gone, and we have 17 sponsor opportunities. I mean, for the club, we haven't had a sponsor for about 7 years.
A gente vai mandar assim que a gente vai tudo formalizado, tá bom? Muito obrigado, viu?
Obrigado.
Thanks.
Obrigado. It's incredible.
Oh, wait, man.
E que aqui realmente não só é a casa do nosso Corinthians brasileiro, mas principalmente do Corinthians inglês. Então isso é importante para todos nós, corintianos, acima de tudo. Tá? Mas vocês têm que se sentir aqui como uma casa de vocês também, estão sempre convidados a vir todos. Amanhã é um jogo de festa, tanto o Corinthians daqui como o Corinthians de lá. É uma confraternização de duas famílias. Depende do placar que eles querem, a gente faz.
What score do you want? We do.
Last weekend against Red Hill, we lost 5-1 because everyone's mind was on coming here. And Jamie, he got injured in the game. He pulled his hamstring. The fans of Brazil have really taken to Jamie. He's now injured and it's been a real tough week. He may not play.
I'm quite concerned with Jamie. I spoke to the physio again this morning. His hamstring, he's tight. I mean, to be fair, it's touch and go. If it wasn't for the fact he's sort of the legend that he is, he wouldn't be playing. There's no way he should be playing really, but I mean, the fans over here just worship him.
It really is overwhelming. You know, some of the boys were welling up out there. You know, it's incredible. He's a passionate guy, as you know. It'd be terrible for him if he couldn't play.
Went out, joined in a bit in the game, felt okay. but probably be best if I don't start the game.
Jamie Byett, he's Corinthian-Casuals. I mean, if you cut him open, he would bleed pink and chocolate, I think. He's feeling it. He's feeling it. He's trying to put on a brave face, but I think he knows deep down that he's not right, and he's thinking maybe I shouldn't be playing.
And have you spoken to your wife and kids lately?
Yeah, I've spoken to my wife last night and a couple of days before that. I miss my kids. Yeah.
Miss them?
Yeah, I miss them. Like, it's hard.
Yeah, because you haven't spent much time away.
No. It's probably the first time that I've spent time away from my kids and my wife.
Finally the big moments arrived, just waiting to get on the coach now. At the same time excited and really looking forward to it, can't wait.
Jamie has had a race on his hands all week to get fit. I just really hope he gets on and has a good game. It is nerve-wracking, actually. We're going into a screaming mob of fans in an amazing arena to play against world champion players. Hopefully we'll do all right.
We do have a police escort. That's equally surreal. I think the whole thing is surreal, but things like that, there being, 8 police motorbikes to take us to the ground is not something we're accustomed to.
We're on our way to the stadium to play in front of thousands and thousands of people against one of the best teams in the world. It's just incredible.
Você tem uma vinda como essa do Casuals, eu fico imaginando as gerações de garotos que fizeram perguntas, como o meu Daniel fez, pequenininho, né? Mas pai, o que é? Quando que veio? Em 1910? E a camisa já era assim? Não, filho, não era assim. E como é que foi? Como é que não foi? Em 14, por que não teve? Ah, por causa da Primeira Guerra Mundial. De repente o cara acaba chegando em outros conhecimentos via esse interesse maluco que ele tem por futebol, pelo Corinthians.
Every positive emotion that you could possibly have, I'll have that.
Olá, amigo ligado no Sport TV, imagens da Arena Corinthians aqui no bairro de Itaquera, na Grande São Paulo. Estamos acompanhando um amistoso histórico Corinthians. Vamos ver imagens agora dos vestiários aqui da Arena Itaquera, a preparação do vestiário do Corinthians. Olha aí, os jogadores do Corinthians hoje vão homenagear os jogadores ingleses, né, de 1910. Os nomes estarão grafados nas camisas dos jogadores do Corinthians. São os nomes dos jogadores do Corinthians de 1910, do Corinthians inglês, que inspirou a fundação do Corinthians Paulista. Vamos ver imagens então do vestiário do time inglês, o Corinthian-Casuals. O adversário, olha, os jogadores aí mostrando as camisas, né? É uma camisa diferente. O Corinthian-Casuals nasceu em 1939 de uma fusão do Casuals com o Corinthians. Os dois times amadores se juntaram em 1939 e vão usar, os próprios jogadores assinando as camisas. O uniforme, um uniforme exótico, diferente, né? Com uma combinação de cores aí diferentes deste time inglês.
Vasquez vai mostrar pra gente que eles já estão aqui prontinhos para entrar. Todos os jogadores do Corinthian-Casuals vão entrar.
Yeah, good. Can't wait for it now. Just want to get out there, let's get going. Get all the formalities done, then we'll get going. Really up for the game. Yeah, excited. Want the game to start now. We played for Corinthian-Casuals for a reason. We've just got to go out there and show why we played. Come on, boys,
Vai crescendo a expectativa para o início do jogo, para o reencontro do Corinthians com a sua torcida. E os dois times vêm para o gramado. O Corinthian-Casuals trazendo seus jogadores, eles entram intercalados, 1 a 1. Nessa festa histórica. Um dia histórico para o torcedor do Corinthians. E por que não para o futebol brasileiro? O Corinthians que é um time de história significativa, representativa no futebol brasileiro. Salve a rainha, linda melodia do hino da Grã-Bretanha.
Matt, how big is this week for you guys, and do you guys actually have any chance of beating Corinthians today?
Absolutely no chance. It's probably the biggest week of our lives and ever will be. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, people are treating you guys well in here. I guess the crowd won't be against you today.
No, I think we're not playing against Corinthians, we're playing with Corinthians.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good luck.
O caráter de festa é só da torcida, né? Para você o jogo vale bastante.
A responsabilidade de cada um de nós que está aqui é do nosso melhor, independentemente do adversário. Ela é quando tu vai jogar uma final do Mundial, ela é do amistoso também.
Vai autorizar o árbitro, a bola tá rolando, tá valendo para você, Corinthians e Corinthian-Casuals. Tem um certo espaço para trabalhar. Spencer a marcação, na marcação à distância, Emerson bateu direto, experimentou o goleiro. Bracken mandou para a linha de fundo, espalmou a bola, é o primeiro escanteio do jogo. Partiu a cobrança do escanteio, bola alta na área, sobe Guerreiro. Olha a sobra do Emerson, ajeitou Guerreiro, disparou, raspou o travessão, foi para fora. Olha a bola do Ralf, lá na lateral para o Renato Augusto. Fagner fez a ultrapassagem, Lodeiro, bom deslocamento, girou, bateu e Bracken faz outra grande defesa. Olha só, arriscou o lance ali com categoria Dudley. Se livrou do Guerreiro. Bola esticada para o Spencer. Domina a bola, já olhou para a área, vem cruzamento, lançamento pelo alto, olha o Thompson, vai para a bola, sobrou o Denis, protegeu, puxou, mandou pelo alto. Escanteio para o Corinthians, neste final de primeiro tempo com 42. Bola para a área, linda cabeçada do Felipe. E outra grande defesa do Bracken. Hilbert da Silva pede a bola, aponta para o centro do gramado e encerra o primeiro tempo aqui na Arena Corinthians em Itaquera. 0 Corinthians, 0 para o Corinthian-Casuals.
The boys have worked their socks off. Obviously we're chasing the ball a little bit, but to be expected.
Even though they're just playing around us, it's just amazing to be on the pitch, to be honest.
O árbitro apita, Emerson para Guerreiro, a bola tá rolando, tá valendo para você o segundo tempo, 0 a 0. Lateral para o Corinthians, e aí a mudança, o Bayat vai entrar no time do Casuals. Jamie Bayat, número 9, o artilheiro do Casuals, está entrando em campo.
He shouldn't be on there really, but I think adrenaline will get him through it.
Levantou a bola, bateu para frente o Dufold. Passou de cabeça o Felipe, voltou o rebote para o Betache na grande área. Rodgers na linha de fundo, o passe foi muito forte, mas o árbitro pegou uma falta do Fagner. Vai efetuar a cobrança da falta o Hall. Também está na bola o Betash. São 2 jogadores na barreira do Cássio. O Casuals traz também seus zagueiros lá para a área do Corinthians. Pode pintar uma jogada ensaiada. Levantou Hall. Bola lá na ponta. Bayat bateu de cabeça, voltou para ele. Olha que o jogo já estava parado. O árbitro marcou falta quando o Bayat emendou para o gol. A bola passou pelo Cássio. Marcou essa falta aí, ó, essa carga na marcação do Corinthians. O jogo já estava parado depois da conclusão do Bayat. Veja a disputa no alto. Guerreiro e Dudley e o Bayat.
Jamie scored and it was disallowed. I don't know what for.
Yeah. Well, I think that was his second touch, but it went in the back of the net, but it was a foul. So hopefully he'll get a chance, because if he gets a chance, I'm confident he'll score.
Betash, boa. De novo o Betash, troca de passes com o Hall. Boa técnica no trabalho da bola do time inglês. Vai trabalhando a bola com qualidade no campo de ataque. O Casuals. A bola solta ali pelo Rodgers. Watley cruzou, Thompson apareceu livre na frente do Cássio. O bandeirinha marcou impedimento lá do outro lado. Passou Petros na área, rolou, olha o Mendonça, tentou puxar, buscou a bola ali na grande área, o time do Corinthians, o chute pro gol! Gol do Corinthians! É dele! É de Danilo, aos 33 minutos do segundo tempo. O iluminado Danilo. E aí a infelicidade no desvio da bola do Dudley, tirando qualquer possibilidade de defesa do Bracken. 1 para o Corinthians, 0 para o Corinthian-Casuals. Olha o deslocamento lá na área do Mendonça, ajeitou, dominou, tá legal, rolou a bola para o Luciano, vai entrando. Corinthians! Na Arena Corinthians está sendo preparada ali uma festa. O Danilo vai passar para o Casuals, né?
É uma troca de camisa. Aqui um jogador do Casuals vai vestir a camisa do Corinthians. O Danilo.
O Bayat vai jogar pelo Corinthians Paulista.
Né? Isso. E o Danilo pelo Corinthian-Casuals.
Fez o passe à frente buscando o Bayat, que joga com a camisa do Corinthians neste finalzinho de partida. O inglês Bayat. Jamie Bayat, o grande artilheiro do Casuals. Olha o toque, a bola chegando, Luciano vai bater para o gol. Gol do Corinthians! E ele foi tremendamente fominha, porque o Bayat ia chegando para pegar a bola, para fazer um gol histórico também com a camisa do Corinthians, olha só. O passe do Jadson. O Bayat estava pedindo a bola. Estava esperando que ela sobrasse para ele. Mas aí o Luciano não quis saber, amigo. Encheu o pé, fez o gol. Corinthians 3, 0 para o Casuals. Termina o jogo aqui na Arena Corinthians em Itaquera.
So we were talking just ago that Luciano had the ball very close to you, but he actually tried to score and he did. Yeah, he was a little selfish.
Yeah, obviously he was a bit selfish, didn't want to give me the ball so I can score, but I can understand it. He's a striker, and if you're inside the box and you've got the ball, you've just got to score goals. But it's a shame, but I'm just happy because I swapped shirts and I played for Corinthians for a little bit, so it's fantastic for me.
Eu fico muito feliz de fazer parte dessa história, né? Que isso aí vai ser lembrado sempre. Eu acho que nunca teve esse jogo. Ele ter entrado e feito gol ainda, então eu estou muito feliz.
Conceded 1 or 2 more than I would like, but at the end of the day, everyone gave everything, and his reception is just amazing. So I think I'm just going to go and cry.
Yeah.
Quite emotional, actually, to be fair. I'm very, very proud of the lads. I mean, they was trying to score, and I thought we defended brilliantly, to be fair. So, considering we only lost 3-0, and it took them till the 60th minute to score, I mean, that speaks volumes for us. So I'm really proud, really proud.
To be in that stadium and to see just how excited everyone was just to meet us, to take a photo with us at the side of the pitch, to have a shirt signed by someone in our side, it was crazy. To travel all that way to São Paulo and discover our club and our ancestors are still so remembered was so special for all of us. We're at the Somme, here where Reginald Rogers is laid to rest, the goalkeeper from the 1910 tour. I think for Danny it was quite special to lay a wreath for Reginald Rogers because there's sort of a brotherhood there.
The history of the club is the most important thing, to be able to link our modern history with the past and players of the past and the greats of the past. Players who have given their lives in a fight so we could continue with the club and continue to play the sport that we love. It doesn't matter whether they know our names or not. People should know about the story.
It's a tremendous privilege to be here. Reminding people of the Corinthians and their sacrifice is extremely important.
They represented our club 100 years ago, so us being the present day team, it's really nice to come and pay our respects to those who ultimately started the legacy of the club off and in turn probably got us to Brazil. They started the history and we were fortunate enough to carry it on 100 years later.
You obviously come back to the place where so many of those guys fell. Yeah, it's full circle.
It's important for the team to come here to visit the graves. There's a lot of people out there that don't know the full history of the club and how the club started. So to come and do things like this and show your respect, so it's a great thing.
Our country is very good at remembering disasters throughout the timeline of the sport's history. And yet, what happened to the Corinthians, losing a record number of men on the battlefields of the First World War, has somewhat been forgotten. These were the great Corinthians. These were the guys who gave the world football. It's only right that more than just a few volunteers in Tolworth or a few hundred fans in Brazil cherish that story, remember that story. They deserve to be protected a bit more by the beautiful game because they're the noble roots of a wonderful sport.
This club is more than just about football. We're unique. There's no one like us.
It's been a fairy tale journey. When we began as a club, we were on our knees. And today, we have renewed hope. Through rediscovering what it is that makes us so special, we've found a route to possible financial stability.
I don't think any club should survive just out of charity. But the fact is, Corinthian-Casuals could have died at any point, and it hasn't. Why? Because it's worth fighting for, it's worth keeping alive. It's a wonderful history that also, amazingly, embraces Brazil.
We've been re-inspired by the Corinthian spirit, and so this is no longer the end. It feels like the beginning of something incredibly exciting. And no matter what happens down here in Tolworth, we know that at the other side of the world, we'll always have our brothers in football.
De Londres pro Brasil, a invasão no Rio, verdadeiro campeão. Do Bom Retiro, um bando de louco, corintiano, maloqueiro.